All right, Sports Mashup number 100, March 1st, 2023. Before we get into the NBA, we have a giveaway for the people who listen to this podcast. The keyword or code word, I don't know what term we're using here, will be used in this episode. The word is
Wheaties.
Wheaties. Yeah, I was going to tee you up there. So I guess, should we tell them how they can win
Yeah.
the item?
Yeah. First person to message on our new Facebook we just made will win the prize.
All right. So that's all you got to do. All right. We'll begin in the NBA, where we typically do for this podcast, which we've done in every episode, I think, for the most part. Probably every single one. The Brooklyn Nets are still without Ben Simmons as he's getting his knee reevaluated, which, doesn't matter. I mean, Ben Simmons is just not going to play for this team this year. I don't think they need him. He doesn't really bring anything. I think they're fine with what they have. I don't think that they're going to be a threat in the East anyway. I think that they wish they didn't have Ben Simmons.
I mean, has he even played 20 games in a Nets uniform since being traded for Harden?
I think maybe 20, but not very many. Like he's probably their 13th guy, honestly, with the way that they look at it.
Not good.
Yeah. LeBron foot injury, feared to miss several weeks. So who knows with the Lakers? They lost in Memphis last night. Not on a good track right now to get a good playoff position, because either way, even if they get out of the play-in tournament, they're going to be playing Denver or whoever the 2 seed in the West is, which could be Memphis, it could be LA, it could be Sacramento, which I think would be great for the Lakers, or it could be Phoenix. So
yeah, because right now in the West, it's like 4 through 13 are like one game apart.
Yeah.
And I think the 4 currently is the Suns.
Yeah.
But they've played without Booker, and now they get KD tonight.
Yeah.
So they should to get out of the 4 hole.
Yeah, if they can stay healthy.
Quinn Snyder does end up getting the deal with the Nets or the Hawks. I mean, 5-year deal. Coming out of he was at Utah, right?
Yeah.
They let him go. Steps into the Hawks.
Yeah, he's done, generally, I think he's well thought of throughout the NBA. I think if he wasn't, he might be coaching in college and at Duke or something like that, which he could have been. He could have made sense as the replacement at Duke if the timing worked out and if he wanted to do college coaching. But obviously the NBA is still highly thought of, would have been the biggest name on the market in the offseason for coaching. I think now it's probably going to be Ime Udoka, who's the biggest name on the NBA coaching market in the offseason. So who knows what happens there. But I think the Hawks got the best guy available right now. So if you're going to make a coaching change on the fly and you're going to do it in season and you want to not have an interim guy, then you bring in Quinn Snyder. That's the biggest name in the market. You go from there. I have to think that if things don't work out with Trae Young, they would be willing to trade him and trust that Quinn Snyder can coach whatever group that they put in there. I'm assuming it's a 5-year deal. I would bet that Snyder outlasts Trae Young in Atlanta, if I had to guess.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Supposedly they've already had conversations and stuff and had good chemistry between one another.
Yeah, we'll see.
Then you had the Hornets. LaMelo Ball suffered a fractured right ankle. Out for the year.
Yeah.
And he can go on vacation with his brother Alonzo since he's out for the year. They can take a ball family trip, start Snapchat stories back up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Hornets are really going nowhere this season anyway. It's probably for the best for draft picks. I think if they can figure it, because I don't think LaMelo Ball is going to want to stay in Charlotte if they don't get him some more help or like a legitimate number 2. And I think Victor Wembanyama could be that guy if they could be lucky enough to get the number 1 pick. But I think the Spurs are really going hard for that pick, given how many games they've been losing.
We know how old Pops down there is with some of those international players.
Yeah, I think if Wembanyama goes to the Spurs, he's guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer. Guaranteed.
And then Sunday you had Damian Lillard drop 71 against the Rockets. First player since Wilt to have 40 and 30 in back-to-back halves.
Pretty good.
He was 22 of 38 from the field, 57.9%. 13 of 22 from 3, 59.1%. 14 of 14 from the line, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He's now third all time in 60-point games. Wilt has 32, Kobe has 6, Dame has 5.
Yeah. Damian Lillard, it's going to be a shame if his career ends without even getting close to winning an NBA championship. I think were they in the Western Conference Finals in 19?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask if he was even maybe a rookie when Rudy Gay and them made it when the Marcus Aldridge was still there when they made a deep run.
I don't know.
I don't know if he was there yet.
I think that they did get to the conference finals at least once, and I thought it was 2018-19.
While you're looking that up, I did see a way to fix the All-Star game. Make it the USA versus Team World.
The U.S. would get killed in the current state of the NBA.
This just shows an image. Though I don't know who the far right guy is in the image for the world, but it's Embiid, Giannis, Luka, Jokic, and I can't tell who the guy on the far right is. And then USA is Tatum, KD, LeBron, Steph, and Kyrie.
I think I would probably put Jaylen Brown or Devin Booker or SGA or Donovan Mitchell over Kyrie.
Well, of course, they're going to put the superstar guys out there or show them on the picture.
Actually, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is from Canada, so never mind. But yeah, the Blazers got swept in the conference finals in 2019. So, which that was pretty much the last chance for McCollum and Lillard to do anything. So,
stat leaders through last night. Luka still points per game at 33.2. Team points per game is the Kings at 120.7.
Rebounds per game is Domantas Sabonis of the Kings at 12.4. Team rebounds the Bucks at 49.4.
Assists Harden 10.7. Assists per game the Warriors 29.6.
Blocks per game Jaren Jackson Jr. 3.3. The Nets lead in the team 6.4.
Steals is still Anunoby of the Raptors at 2, and the Raptors lead team steals at 9.2.
Field goal percentage, Nick Claxton at 71.4%. Team field goal percentage, the Nuggets, 51%.
Threes made, Buddy Hield, 238, though Clay's right behind him now. Team threes made the Warriors, 1,018.
3-point percentage, Malcolm Brogdon of Boston at 46.4, and team 3-point percentage, the Nuggets at 39.2.
Team free throw percentage, 76ers at a solid 83.
And now we go to the NFL.
Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, former Chiefs offensive coordinator, now with the Commanders.
Yeah, certainly a pretty easy transition into, hey, if I haven't been able to get a coaching job coaching in Kansas City, let me prove that I can do it without Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and we'll see if he gets a chance. Who knows?
Who knows who his quarterback's going to be?
Yeah, they did release Carson Wentz, so
thanks for the 4 or 5 games you played in.
Yeah. Well, I do think they like Sam Howell quite a bit. He finished the season there last year. He wasn't too bad, but I don't know. I think maybe you draft a guy, you let Bieniemy coach him. Maybe you sign a Jimmy G or a Baker Mayfield, or you stick with Sam Howell. I guess Heineke's still there, right? So maybe the biggest wild card of any team that could use a quarterback is Washington.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the Colts have.
Yeah, they're probably right there with them. But like the Carolina and the Jets feel like one of those teams is going to get Carr and Jimmy G if Rodgers doesn't go, and the Raiders are another one. But there's a lot still to happen.
I thought he would have already made a decision out after coming out of the darkness.
Yeah, I think the consensus is that he's probably not coming back. I don't know. I don't really have a read on it.
The Bears are leaning toward moving the top pick away.
That's a smart move. You get more pieces back. You could probably trade your first round pick multiple times, get more and more pieces. But they're playing the game. They're playing the leverage communication.
Yeah.
Game.
Let's see what every team's going to offer me for this number 1 pick. Bucks to cut Leonard Fournette says it was at his request.
He didn't give him anything last season.
And I'll save my franchise one to the end.
Matt Nagy back as the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, so he replaces Bieniemy. He was the QB coach there last year, so just slides him up. Makes sense. Washington, like I said, did release Carson Wentz after one season, so disastrous is what his career has become. $55 million loan, the main spotlight now in the investigation into Dan Snyder in Washington. That franchise as a whole is a total train wreck. Yet they're still not like that bad every year. They're never like horribly bad each season.
I like how 4 of the things we've mentioned so far about the NFL are all about the Commanders.
Yeah, and not great. The Bengals are not trading T. Higgins, quote, find your own receiver. Well, they're going to have to get rid of one of those guys at some point because I don't think that there's any chance they can pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins while still having others, but you never know, I guess.
Yeah, don't forget about Boyd, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, you mess around with the cap probably. The Seahawks considering QB at 5 amid Geno Smith talks. Another smokescreen situation probably. I think they'll probably still extend Geno Smith, and if they don't, then I don't know what quarterback that they may. Seattle seems like they'll be the team that takes Anthony Richardson with the 5th pick and be like, look at the potential, and then sit him a couple years.
I think get the NFL top cap hits at wide receiver in 2023. Tyreek Hill, $31.4 million. D-Hop, 30.7. Cooper Kupp, 27.8. Brandon Cooks, 26.4. DJ Moore, 25. Amari Cooper, 23.7. Chris Godwin, 23.7. Mike Evans, 23.6. Christian Kirk, 23. Keenan Allen, 21.7. Kenny Galladay, 21.4. God, the Giants are regretting that.
Yeah, I think they're going to cut him anyway.
Stephon Diggs, 20.2. And then Debo's cap hit is only $8.6 million.
Oh. What's Devontae Adams?
He's actually not even on there. His contract could have been backloaded.
Yeah, I'm assuming it probably was. Yeah, his cap number in this season was 12. Next season, 14, but then it goes up 25. Then it's 44 and 44, which they're going to have to restructure that.
He'll be gone by then.
If he's not, it'll be restructured in some way to get that down. All right, let's.
And then one of those other things, so about top free agents, maybe some guys we see elsewhere, which one of them was the Commanders defensive tackle De'Aaron Payne, who was the first to get franchise tagged. I mean, first off, you got Lamar Jackson. Does he stay in Baltimore, or where else would you want to see?
Atlanta or Miami, if he's not in Baltimore. I think he'll be back in Baltimore.
I'd say if not, I could see him in like Houston.
I think Houston wants to draft one and see if they can develop one.
Don't want to go to Carr. Don't want to go to Gino.
Let's think about this with the Texans. The last time that they tried to develop a quarterback was Deshaun Watson, and he was pretty good. And it wasn't really their fault that it didn't work out with him. So Houston, I think, is capable of developing a quarterback. I know it's a different coach. I feel even better about it.
Let's go with the Eagles defense tackle, Javon Hargrave.
Chicago.
They just swap him back for after they got the guy from Chicago last year.
Yep.
Chiefs offensive tackle, Orlando Brown.
Ooh, I don't know. Chicago?
Like imagine he leaves and then Taylor Lewan goes to the Chiefs, their left tackle.
Maybe. Not out of the realm of possibility.
Bucks cornerback Jamel Dean really stepped up last year.
Yeah.
Think he stays put?
Seems like they usually keep their guys as often as possible, so
There's a lot of Eagles here too. You got Eagles safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
They'll figure out a way to keep him. If not, he'll end up in like Chicago.
And then Eagles cornerback James Bradbury.
Giants. Going back to the Giants.
Niners quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. Probably not staying
Indianapolis.
Not staying put.
Indianapolis.
I wouldn't mind him coming down to Tampa.
Tampa Bay.
Josh Jacobs. Think he stays put or does he go?
I think he goes. I'm gonna say top of head, Carolina.
Wouldn't be a bad fit. Saquon. Stay with
Giants.
the Giants?
Yeah.
But where if not, where would you want to see him? Say Aaron Rodgers is back, Aaron Jones is gone.
Aaron Jones is staying.
I'm just saying, if he does, like, if this were to happen, would you want Saquon?
No. It's not a knock on Saquon, but you know.
This will be my last one here. Cowboys running back Tony Pollard.
Atlanta.
The worst is how long is he going to be out for?
Yeah, that's a big question. I would assume you wouldn't see him back until week 10 or later, given the injury and the fact that it was in December or early January. So
I wouldn't mind seeing him in Tampa, especially since his running back coach just left the Cowboys to go to Tampa.
Yeah. All right. On to golf.
Yeah, last weekend you had the Honda Classic. Winner was Chris Kirk, a one-hole playoff against Eric Cole. Shot 14 under, won $1.5 million. This weekend you have the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Defending champion Scotty Scheffler at the Arnold Palmer's Bay Hill Club and Lounge in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, good field this week. Designated event, so you got all the big names back in the mix this week. East Coast swing now after a West Coast swing. So you have this, you have the Players, you'll have the Valspar and the Valero Texas. I believe those are the 4 tournaments, and maybe there's another one I'm missing in there before the Masters. Maybe the RBC. I think the RBC's after the Masters, though. Let me give it a look here.
Oh, while Ethan's giving that a look, I would give a little shout to the people who donated the prize for today's pod, Underdog Sports. They now have locations in Springfield and Peoria. We've both shopped there. Ethan's first golf bag came from there. Just a local small town, or it's not small town, small shop, almost like a Playing in Sports. Have used stuff, new stuff from all around, from hockey, frisbee golf, softball, baseball. They got it all there.
Absolutely. Let me just say this about the PGA Tour schedule. I was right on the money. Arnold Palmer this week, then the Players, then the Valspar, and then there is the Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship, which I don't really think anybody's playing in that. And then you got the Valero, Texas, then the Masters, then RBC, then the Wells Fargo, Max Homa defending champ, AT&T Byron Nelson, the PGA, Charles Schwab, Memorial, Canadian Open, U.S. Open, Travelers, Rocket Mortgage, John Deere, Barbasol, nobody's playing in that, Scottish Open, same
Which one's
weekend.
the match play one?
The Open. I think that's. I thought that was the Zurich Classic, but I don't even know. I think that already happened this season.
Series, I thought there's another one.
I think they are getting rid of that, or whatever series they're doing. They're getting rid of it eventually over time.
Do you want to talk about what they're talking about now today?
Not really. It's just annoying. I mean, the PGA Tour is going to have smaller fields for designated events with no cut, which I just think is so stupid. It's like, yeah, you can respond to live by having bigger purses and designated fields like they've done this season. However, what is the point in changing that and essentially just put it like to the public eye? I know that it's not exactly like this, but it just looks like you're trying to give more money to the best players, which is like fine, whatever. But also, what about the rest of the tour or the guys that aren't going to be playing in these events? So I don't understand why they're going this far with it. It seems dumb. It's the no cut thing is a lot of what I hate about live. So
yeah, I mean the no cut thing and the small field, that's going to make people want to play on those alternate weekend tournaments instead of going to play in the big ones.
Yeah.
Like a guy who might get top 40 or might miss the cut, he might go play in that alternate one, knowing he's got a better shot and he's going to probably get guaranteed money.
Yeah. All right. College hoops.
The top 5 doesn't move. Houston, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, Purdue. We'll get to this at the end.
Yeah. Marquette up 4-6. Baylor up 2-7. Arizona down 1-8. Texas down 1-9. Gonzaga up 2-10.
Kansas State up 3-11. Tennessee down 1-12. Virginia down 7-13. UConn up 4-14. Indiana up 2-15.
Miami down 3-16. St. Mary's down 2-17. San Diego State up 4-18. Xavier drops 3-19. Providence is 20.
Maryland at 21 after being unranked. TCU up 2-22. Kentucky at 23 after being unranked. Texas A&M up 1-24. And Pittsburgh after being unranked at 25. I mean, Purdue started the month at 1. They've lost 4 of 7 games in February, and they've only dropped to 5.
I do have a counter to this.
2 of which they lost. They lost like 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things here. Number one, the people who vote on this poll and are responsible for these rankings don't really know anything for the most part. I think a lot of these guys are pretty checked out given the rankings that we see each week. Number two, I think Purdue certainly controlled the narrative of them being a top 5 team all season, especially since they were kind of the lone wolf in the Big Ten, and the fact that most of the Big Ten's been pretty average and Purdue was out ahead of everybody for so long. Plus they have the narrative with the player of the year as well. So it's hard for them to drop out of the top 5 in that regard. But also I haven't seen very many teams that have like come and take that spot from them. Like nobody has really done that. I don't think anybody, and that's just what college basketball has been. Everybody's losing so much and everybody's so inconsistent that it's like hard for a team to just completely rise. Like UConn has been in the top 25 this entire time. and UConn had a stretch where they went from 14-0 to 15-5. So that's 5 of 6 losses right there. And they've stayed in the poll the entire time. So I don't think anybody's coming out and grabbing spots from people. I think that's the reason Purdue hasn't dropped more, despite the fact that they certainly aren't a top 5 team at this juncture.
Here's my point.
Yeah,
I mean, they barely beat Michigan State, and then they lose to Indiana for the second time. Who then Indiana got embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yesterday or Monday.
Yesterday, yeah. All right. Duke finishes undefeated at home in John Shire's first season as the head coach. Pretty Mickey Mouse schedule at home, for being honest. Let's go ahead and look at their opponents, especially with the ACC not being any good. Let's see. Jacksonville, freebie. US, South Carolina, upstate, easy. Delaware, easy. Bellarmine, easy. Ohio State's terrible. That's an easy game. Boston College.
That was beginning of the year when both teams were ranked.
Yeah. Well, what do we know now? Boston College is terrible. That's an easy one. Maryland, Eastern Shore. Are you kidding me? Florida State's terrible. Pitt is like fine. They're okay. They're pretty good, I guess.
It's number 1 in the ACC at the moment.
The ACC's not good, though. That's the thing. Miami's good. I'll give you that one. Wake Forest, meh. North Carolina, meh. Notre Dame's terrible. Louisville's terrible. Virginia Tech is so inconsistent, it's not even funny. And NC State, good team.
Who destroyed them at the beginning of the month?
Yeah, but your 3 best wins at home being NC State, Miami, and Pitt. It's like, that's not going to do it for me. I mean, especially when you go on the road and you lose to Wake Forest, you lose to NC State, you lose to Clemson, Virginia Tech. No, those are bad.
I've never claimed that they're having a great season.
But, people kind of cherry picking the stat here as if this is the classic ACC and they played a great Syracuse team or a great North Carolina team, and they just, they didn't. How many games did they lose at home last year? They lost did they lose to North Carolina at home last year?
Yeah, they lost both games in North Carolina last year.
So at home last year, they lost to Miami, Virginia, and North Carolina. Interesting. Virginia wasn't any good last year either.
Was it last year where they lost their non-conference home win streak?
No, I think that was a couple years ago, wasn't it? Because wasn't that like 4 years ago?
I don't think it was that long ago, but it was Stephen F. Austin came in and shut the lights out.
It had to be before 2021 or before 2020 because Illinois won at Duke in 2020. So I think it was 2018, maybe. No, maybe a little later than that. Maybe 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. November 26, 2019. Lost to Stephen F. Austin overtime. That's a rough one.
But when a team came in shooting like they were.
Yep.
And then last thing, college hoops, in the women's side, our girl Kayla Clark hit a buzzer beater 3 to beat number 2 Indiana with College Game Day there.
Yeah, that was a pretty insane play. I did see the highlight replay deal. And I thought it was funny when I was watching the Indiana-Iowa game last night, the Indiana women's team coming out there with their – I guess they won the Big Ten regular season. They were coming out there with all the cheering and stuff. It's like, you did just lose, and Indiana's down by 100 at halftime to the school that you lost to.
Yeah, the Indiana women's team that won the Big Ten and that clinched Iowa, I think, number 2 seed.
Well, Illinois is better than all of them, obviously. Illinois women's team lost on senior night to Nebraska by 35. But I believe Illinois' women's team is going to make the tournament. So that's like the first time in a billion years. So there you go.
Yeah, I was looking at it last night, or like on the men's side, like ACC could get 6, maybe 7 teams in. Big Ten was like 7, maybe 8. Pac-12 wasn't that deep. SEC was like 6.
Yeah. We'll see. Major League Baseball, weird exchange between umpire C.B. Buckner and Cardinals manager Ali Marmol, where you had the old incident last season of Marmol getting thrown out against, I think it was, what game was that? Maybe Arizona? Somewhere along those lines. He got tossed, and there was a whole big thing with Buckner. Then he tried to shake his hand before the game Saturday or Friday.
It was him arguing balls and strikes when Arenado was hitting.
Yep. and Buckner refused to shake his hand. Marmol called him out in the media, pretty much saying he has no respect for him as a man. MLB probably not happy with either side in this.
They said they were going to look into it.
Yeah, and then they Marmol and Buckner did shake hands on Monday. And here's the big kicker. I think maybe the biggest part of the story is that Angel Hernandez, of all people, and umpires, who might have the thinnest skin ever if you really look into it, is the one who's apologizing to Marmol for Buckner's behavior. I think that is the biggest indictment on CB Buckner in this entire thing.
Yeah, because after Buckner wouldn't, the other umps made it a scene to shake his hand.
Yeah. So we'll see how this progresses throughout the season. It wouldn't surprise me to see them cross paths in some way again during the regular season.
No, but I remember that strike call that he called on Arenado. It was nowhere near a strike.
Yeah. Dodgers shortstop Gavin Lux exits game on card with knee injury. Turns out to be a torn ACL.
Yeah, did you
Not
see
good.
this?
I did not see it.
Like, ball hit to third, they turned to. He stumbled going to third, and his knee just buckled. He did a somersault towards the bag, but his knee just gave out on him. It looked horrible.
Yeah.
And then you had Machado and the Padres finalizing an 11-year, $350 million extension. Though, like, when he just got there in was 2019,
but he's going to opt out after this season.
Yeah, it was only a couple years into his 10-year deal that he had with the Orioles. So
yeah, Wheaties for sure. Yeah.
Average game time down 23 minutes so far with the pitch clock.
When I first kind of read about it or watched some stuff about the pitch clock, I was like, I could do without it. But actually watching a game with it, I am a fan.
And yeah, like the clock's not going to be right there behind the backstop.
Yeah, that can't be
during the game. It's not going to be in the center field camera view.
Yeah, they can't have that. Was seeing that in some broadcasts was like, okay, I hate it.
And speaking of Machado, he was the first guy to get hit with a strike.
Yeah, I thought that it was actually the other way around, but I don't know. I thought the pitcher got called for a ball.
No, he was.
But I think you're. I don't. Yeah. I think you're right.
And then last night you had the Orioles and Pirates play umpless in the bottom of the ninth in an awkward 7-4 game.
Yeah, so the game was already over, and then the
Pirates were their home team. They were up 7-4, but they wanted to get a relief pitcher some more throws in. So they played the bottom of the ninth in a pointless game with no umps. The umps walked off the field after the middle of the ninth.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to see that, certainly. A lot of things going on with spring training. So
I think the umps were so shocked when they turned around and saw that the Orioles were taking the field.
Yeah. So we have the baseball preview coming soon, a few weeks from now for the show. So we'll get into that next time. And now we have the NHL where the trade deadline. Go ahead.
The committee, our competition committee, also voted unanimously to keep position players to pitch only in extra innings. And the ninth inning, when leading a team is up by 10 or more, or each between trailing by 8 or more. So no, you can't just come in whenever.
Yep.
You got to be getting your ass beat or in extra innings. I'll save that unhittable thing. Current Team USB World Class starting line, our rotation: Kershaw, Waino, Michaelis, Lance Lynn.
I think Kershaw dropped out.
Oh, what else was going to be? And then the Cardinals, Jordan Walker acknowledges he's taller than his listed height. He's now 6'6", 250, same size as Giancarlo Stanton.
All right. That'll work. All right. The NHL trade deadline Friday. Pretty much every trade is happening before then. I don't know. There's still going to be some moves Friday, I'm sure, but a lot, certainly the most active deadline in the history, or the most active trade period the last month in the history of the league, I would think. Just pretty much the notable moves from the last time we were on to this episode, starting with the Boston Bruins trading picks for Dmitry Orlov and Garnett Hathaway from the Washington Capitals. I believe Orlov had 3 points last night, so
Yeah.
that's a good trade for Boston, trying to make sure they're fully, they got the depth and whatnot to make one last run with the Bergeron, even though it could be more than one with the Bergeron era.
The Bruins got Orlov, Hathaway, and then the rights to Andrei Svetlikov, and then they gave the Capitals Craig Smith, 2023 first, 2025 second, and 2024 third, and then the Wild got a 2023 fifth from the Bruins and retained 50% of Orlov's salary and 25% of Orlov's salary. Or the Capitals retained 50 of Orlov's, and then the Wild took 25. So Bruins only paying him 25% of his salary.
Yeah, which a lot of teams have been getting a broker. Like Arizona was one for the Chicago-New York trade. Minnesota was one for the St. Louis-Toronto trade. You also had Ivan Barbashev traded from the Blues to the Golden Knights for prospect Zach Dean, who's a first-round pick in 2021. Blues have plenty of picks. They get a nice prospect in there who's better than a lot of the prospects they already have. And he's very similar to Barbashev, so he could end up being the same type of player. And for Vegas, you get a playoff-style player in Barbashev who could play second, third, probably the fourth line minutes. I think it makes sense for both sides. You also had Timo Meier, probably the biggest name, probably the best player in the market as he's currently playing right now, going from San Jose to New Jersey. A couple players involved, some picks involved. Big trade there. New Jersey kind of responding to what the Rangers and Islanders have done to improve their teams. Expected a response from the Devils, and they delivered. Tanner Jeannot traded from Nashville to Tampa. A puzzling return. I think it was like 5. I think the Jeannot trade got Nashville a first, second, third, fourth, and fifth round pick from different years. So Tampa has like no picks because they traded 2 firsts for Hagel last year. And Jeannot had 20 goals last season. He's not been the same player this season. I know Tampa can bank on him being better for them, but Jesus. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth is like a bigger price than any player has gotten in this market. So they're very bizarre. You also had Jake McCabe, defenseman, and Sam Lafferty, forward, going from Chicago to Toronto. So Toronto continues to add. Yeah, Jesse Puljujarvi going from Edmonton to Carolina for Patrick Puistola, who's a prospect, going back to Edmonton. Puljujarvi's kind of been on the outs in Edmonton for a long time now, since being a top 5 pick. Rasmus Sandin from Toronto to Washington for Eric Gustafsson, a defenseman, and Washington has already traded the first-round pick that they got from Boston in the Orlov trade. They traded that to Toronto. And then Toronto traded Pierre Engvall to Washington, or to the New York Islanders for 2024 third. And then Toronto picked up Luke Shin from Vancouver for a 2023 third-round pick. And then Nashville traded Matthias Ekholm, a defenseman, to Edmonton for defenseman Tyson Barrie, prospect Reed Schaefer, 2023 first, 2024 fourth. Then you had something that seemed like it was going to happen for quite some time now, finally gets done. Patrick Kane from the Blackhawks to the Rangers. I believe it was, like a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a couple players. And Kane had all the leverage there. The Blackhawks really had nothing they could do. They just had to get rid of him, get it done.
Because he had no
movement, yeah. He could control everything, essentially. So we'll see what the Rangers are.
Last night, I got into a heated debate with our friend Eric. He was now saying that watch out for the Rangers. They're going to be the best team in the NHL because of this one trade. Because now having Panarin, Kane, and who else did they get?
Tarasenko.
Yeah. I go, so a guy who's hurt and an old Patrick Kane. I go, you think that's really going from where they're at now to make them the best team in the NHL?
Yeah, I think that's a stretch. I'll be curious to see how they perform in the playoffs. I still think the toughest teams for Boston, historically or not historically, will be Tampa and Toronto, which are both Atlantic teams, so they wouldn't have to face them in the they could have to face Tampa in the conference finals depending on the seeding and such. But
they don't have to worry about Toronto.
But I said historically or not historically. So historically, it's not a hard matchup. But if you look at Toronto's team, I think it would be. But I think goaltending is going to be a big factor. And if Igor Shesterkin becomes the Igor Shesterkin of last year, I think the Rangers can beat anybody. but we'll see. I don't know. The Blue Jackets traded Jonas Korpisalo and Vladislav Gavrikov to the Los Angeles Kings for Jonathan Quick, a 2023 first, which is conditional, 2024 third. Looking now like Quick could end up going from Columbus to Vegas. He's had a terrible season, but also, kind of disrespectful for the Kings to not even they just blindside him with a trade in February for a guy who won 2 cups for you. That doesn't seem right to me.
Who's probably been one of their longest tenured players.
Him, Kopitar, and Doughty are pretty much the 3 from that era. And, kind of a weird move there to do that. Then you had Philip Roenick go from Detroit to Vancouver for a 2023 first, which Vancouver got that in the Horvat trade in 2023 second. Makes no sense for Vancouver. Absolutely no sense.
I'm sorry. And Gavrikov didn't go for as much as you thought that Boston was going to give up for him.
Especially since it was Gavrikov and a goaltender that LA could use with Korpisalo. So Boston definitely got lucky that they didn't make that trade. I'll tell you that.
And that's worked out with Orlov as of right now.
Yeah.
I mean, them and Hathaway combining on 2 goals their night, and then him having his, I think it was his either 3rd or 4th or 4th and 5th goal of the year and an assist last night.
So for Roenick to go to Vancouver, it's like he's a good player. This season could be a one-off with how good he's been, but like Vancouver needs draft picks. This is a rebuilding team. This is a team that's going to be over the salary cap next year and still be terrible. So like I don't understand this move at all for them. Why they would give up a first-round pick that could end up being like a 15 to 20 range pick in a draft that's supposed to be the deepest in a long time. It just makes no sense to me. So I think Vancouver is maybe the most poorly managed organization in the league right now. And I think this proves it. And I think maybe you can make that argument for Arizona with this next trade with Jacob Chikrin, who they've just been talking about trading for months. It's been, multiple first, big prospects. And then he goes to Ottawa for a first and 2 seconds, which I think this first round pick is top 5 protected. And then a 2024 second, 2026 second. This is a 24-year-old defenseman with $4.6 million per year contract for 3 more years. He's got injury issues. That's the one concern, but he's also a very good player when he's playing. And for the fact that Arizona's been trying to trade him for 2 years and they wanted multiple firsts and big prospects and they don't get any prospects and they get 1 first and one of the second-round picks is not for 3 years is puzzling to me. Like I like Bill Armstrong a lot. Their GM came from the Blues, was with the Blues for a long time, did great things in the drafting department and other areas for the Blues, but this makes no sense to me. But they're gonna have to start trading picks. Like Arizona has, I think, 8 second-round picks. I don't know if it's in 1 year or like the next couple years. Like you can't have all of those picks. You can't draft all of those players.
No, it seemed like the Red Wings were okay with this, just to make this next deal.
Yeah, the Red Wings did extend Captain Dylan Larkin 8 years, $8.7 million. I think that's great value given the fact that Horvat got something similar and Larkin's a much better player than Horvat. Horvat's good, but Larkin's better. Larkin's dynamic. 57 points in 59 games this season, only 26 years old, from Michigan. Makes sense that they keep him around. So
yeah, and what did they do with Horvat? Like they were, like I said, that they were trying to do it to try raising the market.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a great deal for Detroit, in my opinion. Also, by the way, Arizona has 8 guaranteed seconds in the next 3 drafts.
It would also be nice just to see Detroit become an actual contender in the league again.
Yeah, they're an original 6 franchise. You always want those teams to be at the top. You look at recent original 6 teams. Boston won in 11. They've been good, though, this entire time. The Rangers had a couple bad years. They did get to a cup final in, 2014?
And then they had their ice skater moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You have Detroit hasn't really been relevant to a certain degree since, 2008, that range. Montreal somehow made it to a cup final a couple years ago. Montreal did, 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Very bizarre that they were ever in there, but they're rebuilding. Chicago obviously won 3 in 5 years now. They're rebuilding. Toronto has been good this entire time. They just can't get a playoff run going, so it'd be good for the league. And just looking at this, not counting any conditions, in the next 3 drafts, Arizona has 3 firsts, 8 seconds, and 7/3. And if the conditions work out, which I believe they will, they'll get another second, another third, and another first. Because you have conditions on the Ottawa pick, conditions on the Capitals second rounder in 24, and conditions on the Rangers third rounder in 25 from the Kane deal.
What's what you were talking about GMs earlier and now making moves? Don Sweeney has turned Eric Halla, Ryan Donato, Craig Smith, Anders Bjork, Urho Vakinen, John Moore, 2 first rounders, and 7 additional picks into Charlie Coyle, Taylor Hall, Hampus Lindholm, Pavel Zacha, Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway.
Yeah, I saw that tweet. It was kind of underwhelming at first, but.
And I just want to give a little shout out to your team. Monday marked 17 years since the Blues acquired Wayne Gretzky from the Kings for Craig Johnson, Patrice Tardif, Roman Vopat, and a 96 fifth-round pick and a 97th first-rounder.
Yeah, would have worked out well because he would have stuck around if we didn't have a dipshit coaching the team at that point. Mike Keenan, what an idiot, lost Gretzky because of him essentially. So what can you do?
And then last night, Linus Ullmark versus the Flames stopped 54-57 shots, 947 save percentage, and that included 7 power play saves.
Yeah, I saw this. Boston better start playing better in front of their goalie, or they're going to get picked off. That's all I got to say.
Well, the worst is I feel like they play better in front of Swayman than they do in front of Ullmark.
Something to think about.
Swayman's won his last 8.
Yeah.
And then you did have Ullmark score a goal the other night. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I see your text asking if you saw it, and you're like, I did.
Yep.
But now points leader through last night.
All right. Connor McDavid leading now, 115 points, 26 ahead. I mean, what are we doing?
Defensive points, Carlson at 77, 14 ahead.
Rookie points, Matty Beniers, 42, 7 ahead.
Goals, McDavid marked 50, which was he got his 49th and 50th against Boston Monday. He's now 8 ahead of Pasta.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. Erik Karlsson, defenseman goals 19. He's 2 ahead.
Rookie goals, Beniers 19, 3 ahead.
David assists 65, 2 ahead.
Which is of Leaf Kucherov.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Defenseman assists, Erik Karlsson 58, 6 ahead.
And then rookie assist, Matthias Michelli, Arizona, 26. He's 1 ahead.
Goalie wins, Linus Ullmark, now at 31, 3 ahead.
And then you have goalie save percentage, Linus Ullmark, 938. He's plus .008 ahead. So it's getting a little tight.
Well, the guy who came in, who's now at second, I've never heard of him. I don't know where he came from. It wasn't like it was the normal guys who have been there.
I'll give that a look.
And team points leader is the Bruins at 47, 8 and 5, 99 points, 13 ahead.
You know, you might not want to win the President's Trophy given the track record of cup winnings with those.
Well, I mean, they just have to start losing now.
Yeah, you might want to. All right, let's do the picks.
I was 8-3 last week. 1-1, 1-1, 5-1 in college hoops, and I hit on Shane Lowry top 10. He finished tied 5th, 9 under.
Are you talking about Philip Gustafson?
No.
That was the goaltender that is second right now. Or wait, no, that's goals against. Yeah, he's second in save percentage too. It's got to be him.
I'll look while you're.
Yeah, I went 10-1 last week, back-to-back weeks. I'm 20-2 in the last 2 weeks. Don't look now. Hit on a golfer. I hit on Lee Hodges top 20. I believe he finished tied 14. 6-0 in college hoops. 2-0 in the NBA. 1-1 in the NHL. And now we have picks for this week. Let's start with the NBA tonight.
I get the Suns minus 10.5 over the Hornets and the Heat minus 1.5 over the 76ers.
I'm taking the Knicks minus 7.5 against the Nets and the Rockets plus 10 against the Grizzlies. NHL.
I get the Kraken minus 110 over the Red Wings, and I have the Sharks minus 125 over the Blues.
That's a great pick. I have the Red Wings minus 110 over the Kraken and the Leafs minus 110 at the Flames.
I mean, the Kraken just won last night.
On a back-to-back, though, that worries me. In Detroit, feeling good. Their captain just got an extension. Why not let it rip?
Sharks are also on a back-to-back, and they played a late game last night.
And they're terrible, and the Blues are even worse. So
and they lost.
Easy dub. The Blues are horrific. Thank God they won a cup. I would feel so much worse right now. College hoops.
I'd feel way better.
Well, sure, but what can you do? You might get one this year. We'll see.
Where do you think you want to go here?
College hoops.
On Thursday, I have Houston over Wichita State and UCLA over Arizona State.
I got UCLA over Arizona State and FAU over Rice.
Friday, out of the American, I have Tulane over East Carolina, and the Mountain West, I have New Mexico over Colorado State.
I got St. Louis over Dayton and New Mexico over Colorado State.
Saturday, big slate of college basketball games Saturday because basic regular season ends Saturday and Sunday.
Last Saturday. This is March, yes.
So got Marquette over St. John's and Virginia over Louisville. And yeah, I'm cherry picking with that last pick.
I'm taking UConn over Villanova. Villanova's been hot. We'll see if they can keep it going. I believe they've beaten Creighton, Marquette, and Seton Hall, and somebody else. I believe they might have beaten Providence, but they're hot. But I'll take UConn, who's been good as well. And I'm going to take, since I think this team needs this badly, and they almost blew their game on Monday, I think that this team needs a win here. So why not the Tar Heels over Duke? I already did it once this year. I'm going to do it again. I think North Carolina's a little bit more desperate this time to get into the tournament, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they need this one to get in. They can make it run in the –
Yeah, but it would be nice for them to get this one.
Yeah, last year they were a high seed and got to the finals.
8 seed, yeah. But it was a pretty – let's be honest. They beat Marquette.
Well, no, I'm not saying they didn't have an easy road in, but –
their hardest opponent was probably the Final Four game.
They could get
the national championship.
They could get hot in the ACC tournament.
I don't know if I see it with this group, but we'll see. It is the same group, but there's reasons. Manic is gone, Nance is in. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Arnold Palmer Invitational.
To win, I have John Rahm plus 650, Rory plus 900, and Max Homa plus 2,000.
Taking Max Homa plus 2,000, Justin Thomas plus 3,000, Tom Kim plus 4,000. 2, 3, 4, bing, bang, boom.
Top 5, I have Scotty Scheffler plus 225.
Me as well.
Top 10, I have Colin Morikawa plus 190.
Sung Jam plus 330.
I think Morikawa's got to flip a switch.
Yeah, I think he usually gets it going around this time.
Top 20, Victor Hovland plus 130. I've been picking him to win, and he hasn't been making cuts, so...
This guy's been terrible, too. I'm going to take Spieth plus 200. I don't know.
And then top 40, Tom Hogue back in. Plus
I thought about it. I'm going to go with Joel Damon plus 175. He was on Pardon My Take this week. Maybe a little bump there.
He's been playing decent.
Yeah, maybe a little bump. We'll see.
Always plays in the bucket hat. Fun guy.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for us. Be sure to message the keyword to the Facebook page for the giveaway if you want the item. First one to do it gets it, so good luck. We'll be back next week for 101. Talk a little bit more college hoops next week probably, kind of recap some other stuff. But
next week we'll be basically recapping semis of some conference champions.
Yeah, there'll be some automatic bids handed out by then as well. So we will see everybody next week.
Deuces.